The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
Pow! What's up, guys? Well, I got another Beth Avenue story for you. This one is about my crew, the Beth Avenue crew. Now, as you know, we had some numbers on our legs. Now, I went away May 10th of 1993. I came home November 1999. I ended up doing 5.5 years on the nose. Now, when I was away, my own personal friends that I grew up with all my life end up killing Paulie Galino. They knocked on his door, they put a couple bullets in him, and they left him on the floor for his family to see him. Now, you all know my story. It's a sad story of a bunch of friends growing up, making their bones, and eventually turning on each other. A story we heard once before. Now, when they killed Paulie Galino, Joey Calco really thought that he was going to be the man. That's what he thought. He really thought that. Little did he know that Fabrizio would get the button, and Fabrizio would be the main guy. But when Fabrizio got his button, he was looking at jail time 6 months later. He's one of the main guys that went to jail very quick. As soon as he got straightened out, 6 months later, he was in jail looking at 50 years on a plea deal. Now, it really is a terrible story, but it's a story I want to talk about because, see, Fabrizio he personally never pulled the trigger and killed anybody. The reason why he's doing 35 years is because of Joey Calco. Listen to the story. Now, Joey Calco, when he killed Paulie Galino, he thought that he was going to get straightened out. But the guys in the neighborhood knew that he wasn't that bright, and they were very unsure of him, whether if they even wanted him. Me growing up, Joey Calco, nobody wanted him. Georgie Conti didn't want him. The DeChicos didn't want him. And Sparrow never even had a thought of him until Paulie Galino's murder. Now, Joey Calco went to kill Paulie Galino with Tommy Reynolds. We all know this. It's all documented. And Tommy Reynolds had the number 3. I had the number 2. Paulie G had the number 1. Calco had the number 7. Now, Tommy Reynolds, growing up, he was a good friend of mine. And, when I found out they killed Paulie Galino, I was very upset. I found out, I knew my friends killed Paulie G, but I really didn't know it until I was indicted and I seen paperwork. And that's when my stomach turned. And Mikey Bloom was on the same floor as me. Ali Boy Persico was on the same floor as me. Sally Avellino. And they knew that I didn't even want to be on this indictment with these kids. I didn't like them no more at the time. So Tommy Reynolds is on a floor below me. And Tommy Reynolds is yelling up to me saying, Jimmy, Paulie Galino was a scumbag. And I'm going to Tommy Reynolds, Tommy, stop it. I don't want to hear about that shit. I'm saying it's something I don't want to talk about. And then he's telling me Joey Calco got picked up at the Canada border coming from Italy and that he is cooperating. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I heard Dean Benicillo flipped. A few other guys flipped. I mean, the whole indictment was fucking insane, going crazy. Now, Fabrizio and Tommy got very close once Tommy and Joey killed Paulie Galino. In this photo is Dean Benicillo, Tommy Reynolds, and Fabrizio Di Franzischi. Fabrizio in the gray suit becomes the main guy. He gets straightened out. Willie Galloway drives him to get straightened out, and he becomes a main guy. 6 months later, he gets picked up on an indictment, the Bath Avenue crew. Spiro's in it, Joe Benanti, and a few other people, and all of us. Now, of course, I wasn't involved in the Paulie Galino murder. Thank God. I would never, ever kill my friends. That wasn't me. And I can say the same for Paulie Galino. Paulie Galino killed for his friends. He didn't kill his friends. And when this happened, now Joey Calco, Tommy Reynolds, Fabrizio, Dean, maybe Albert was involved with drugs. Now, I was away doing time on a bank robbery, and I had a 4 to 8 on top of the bank robbery where I had to finish up in the state. So these guys are running around at this time, they're selling crack. After they kill Paulie Galino, it's no more coke. They start selling crack. They start selling crack, and they got all these young kids selling drugs for them. One of the kids' names is Jack Sharon. Jack Sharon was an 18, 19-year-old kid. He didn't know what he was getting himself involved in. But before I get into Jack Sharon, I want to share this photo with you. My dear friend, Paulie Galino. Paulie Galino was a great kid. Look at him. He was a tough guy, always wore a jogging suit. And believe me, no one in the neighborhood could fuck with him. That was 100%. Okay, not with their hands. Okay, and the way they killed him was a coward move. All my life, when I know Paulie told me, when I want to die, I want it between my eyes. They couldn't even do that. They asked him for a bottle of water, and he went to the refrigerator, and they put it in the back of his head, not in front of his face. Coward move. So let me get back to Jack Sharon. Now, Jack Sharon was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. In this article, it says, Jack Sharon Jr. was just 19 on January 18, 1995, when Joey Calco put 6 bullets in the back of his head. 6 bullets in the back of his head. It happened on the corner of 16th Avenue and 78th Street. Now, one thing about Paulie Galino, okay? Everyone he killed was either in the street, a drug dealer, a murderer, and things like that. Joey Calco didn't have to kill this kid. Joey Calco could have slapped this kid. He could have even broke his arm or broke a leg. This is a kid that was maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. Joey Calco did not have to kill this kid. He could have gave him a pass. But Joey Calco had a lot to prove. He didn't want to give this kid a pass. So what happens is Joey Calco ends up meeting Jack Sharon with Fabrizio and Tommy Reynolds. They meet him on 16th Avenue and 78th Street near Utrecht High School. And Joey Calco jumps out of the car and he pulls out his gun without even talking to Jack Sharon. And he starts shooting him. He kills him right there. At this time, Fabrizio and Tommy Reynolds is in the car. Fabrizio and Tommy Reynolds takes off. They leave Joey Calco there. The reason why I know this story is because when I was talking to Joey Calco told me this story. Okay? He told me the whole story about what happened. And he was talking bad about Tommy Reynolds and Fabrizio, how they left him there after he killed Jack, and he had to run about 4 or 5 blocks to meet them. I mean, this is what you call friends, and that life, this is a life that I wish on no kid. Jack Sharon had a bright future ahead of him. He didn't know what he was getting himself involved in. And this is Fabrizio coming through the door. This is when they were running the drug business. Here's Fabrizio in a tuxedo. He's at a wedding. I know, guys, I have all the photos. I know. So what happens is after Joey Calco kills Jack Sharon, they find out that Joey Calco pulled the trigger, and they know the Bath Avenue crew is involved in it. So the heat is on the streets. They're looking for Joey Calco. Joey Calco ends up taking off, going to Italy. Tommy Reynolds and Fabrizio's on the street. Now they got the drug business. Tommy Reynolds ends up getting into trouble. He was robbing drug dealers in the Marlboro projects and stuff like that. They end up giving him a beating, cracking his head open. He went back, shot up the Marlboro projects, and this is what they were doing. So at this time, Joey Calco is sending word back to Fabrizio and Tommy Reynolds because there's a lot of money on the street, $10,000, $20,000 a week, and Joey wants his end sent to him. And Joey's making threatening threats to Joey, to Tommy Reynolds, and Fabrizio. And he's saying, well, I'm going to come back. If I don't get my money, I'm coming back. And eventually, Tommy Reynolds and Fabrizio has an idea about Joey Calco. They know that they have to kill Joey Calco. So they want Joey Calco to come back because the best way to solve this problem is getting rid of Joey Calco because Joey Calco knows too much. So after they kill Jack Sharon, there's all kinds of heat in the streets. There's all kinds of problems going on, and they get indicted. Now, I know nothing about the Jack Sharon murder. I wasn't there, and thank God I wasn't there. You know, they say sometimes when you do prison time, it can actually save you, and I look at it like that because I think it did save me. There's a lot of events I wasn't involved in, and I'm glad I wasn't because they were all scumbag events. My friends growing up turned out to be scumbags. It's plain and simple. You know, loyalty has an expiration date. If you're more loyal to people and they're not loyal to you, then you need to move on and don't be loyal to those people no more. So what happens is because Joey Calco killed this kid, Jack Sharon, it's a drug-related murder. And Fabrizio Di Francisci takes a plea for 50 years. Tommy Reynolds and Fabrizio actually throw themselves upon the mercy of the court, and Tommy Reynolds gets life, and Fabrizio gets 50 years. Now they put in an appeal. They end up going back a year later, and the judge sentenced Fabrizio to 35 years and Tommy Reynolds to 50 years. So because it was a drug-related murder, Fabrizio got 35 years. Now, Fabrizio never pulled the trigger on killing anybody. He was at the Jack Sharon murder. He might have been at something else. I'm not sure, but it wasn't an indictment. So all the kids out there, listen up and listen good. Be careful of the company you keep. Don't look up to people in the streets. The streets will never love you back, and you can't trust nobody out there. There is no honor. There is no loyalty. There is no trust. Go to work, get a job, do the right thing, make your parents proud, and become something of your life. You only have one life. I hope you enjoyed this story. Until my next one, I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.